The hand look quilt stitch is found in menu D, the quilt stitches, and stitch number 2. Kind of has a funny look to the stitch picture, but when you select it, it actually shows you what it's going to actually stitch like. Now, this is a manipulated stitch. So you may need to adjust this based on the fabric, batting, thread, everything that you might be using. The foot that it recommends is foot P, that's your 1/4 inch foot, so I have that on. And then it actually is meant to go through batting. So we have layered up fabric, batting, and this is going to look like you've done it by hand, but you've done it by machine, which we love. So first off, we're going to take clear thread, which I've put on a thread stand, and I've threaded it into the machine. I have found that clear thread or monofilament thread doesn't play nicely when it's this close to the first guide. It kind of is a little curly, wiry, it just has its own mind. It's kind of like a 2-year-old. It'll do whatever it feels like doing. And by putting it on a thread stand, it's going to make all the difference in the world. So let me show you how you make this stitch work to your advantage and what you're looking for the perfect setting. So first off, when you start to sew, you've got a thread color that you want it to be showing on the top in your bobbin. So we've got blue in our bobbin. And as we sew, it has kind of a stitching sequence where it's going to sew forward and then back, and then it's going to lock it and then forward again. Because the tension is so high, take a look at this. Sewing information, the tension is at 8 to start off with. That's preset because we want to drag the bobbin thread up through the batting and bring it to the top side, lock it in place, and then stitch forward. And where you have the spacing in between where the stitches are not actually showing, that's where the clear thread is. So let me show you how this is going to look. Now, I mentioned batting can be a little bit of one of the variables. I have had batting where it just doesn't want to allow the thread to pull up from the bobbin. I am sure that there is some lady somewhere that was sewing with fishing line in her sewing machine one day from her husband's tackle box. And she was sewing with a manipulated stitch and she thought, oh, this looks like hand stitching. And with that, we found that from here on out, machine companies have put this stitch on the machine. But it is manipulated. So for example, as we start to stitch, we want to see that some of the stitches are coming up to the top side. Now I did shorten this stitch length a little bit, and then that way, actually no I didn't. This is what it's at 7. I like it a little bit shorter. It tends to pull the stitches together. And I don't know about you, but hand stitching when it's closer together actually looks prettier. So we're going to go ahead and get that, and nope, that's going to look good. It's going to look like I am a beautiful hand quilter. Oh, that's what we're looking for. Now, there is a place to pivot and a place to not pivot. So you want to make sure that as you're pivoting, you're not pivoting when you're on that back stroke. You want to pivot when you're on the forward stroke. There's 2 of them, and any one of those is a great pivot place. Okay, let's take a look and see what's looking good here. All right. Now, I did pivot on the wrong place because I was talking, but this is why, because it will kind of go back and then make that stitch kind of up there. But if you pivot the right place, kind of in between one of these stitches that is showing, you will have a perfect corner as you go. Also, too, it is normal that the first couple stitches do not look perfect because it kind of almost needs to get going, then get that tension to pull up that first stitch completely. So, and the back is going to tell that you did not do this by hand. So if you don't want this to be showing, well, it's going to. It's going to prove that you didn't do it by hand. But isn't that great? That clear thread makes it look like there's a break in between those hand look stitches. You can use this foot or you could use it with a walking foot if you find yourself doing a lot more of this and you've got batting and layers that you don't want to move. But for a small project, you can use the foot letter P, the 1/4 inch foot that comes with this machine.